The room presents itself clearly, as if comprehension has already settled before attention notices it. Understanding seems present, without a memory of when it arrived.
Details feel already processed before conscious inspection begins.
Awareness encounters a space that already feels known. Time appears to have advanced comprehension, slightly ahead of awareness. Nothing in the room suggests effort was required to understand it.
Recognition appears to precede deliberate observation.
Clarity exists without recalling the act of arriving at it. Objects appear already integrated into understanding.
The scene implies comprehension without revealing its moment of formation.
Understanding feels settled, even as awareness looks for its origin. Nothing in the frame indicates when comprehension began.
The present feels already interpreted.
Awareness appears to follow understanding rather than lead it. The act of noticing feels secondary to knowing. Perception appears to catch up to conclusions already in place. Understanding feels continuous, despite the absence of a first realization. Nothing contradicts the sense that understanding was already present.
The room offers no evidence of discovery.
Comprehension feels intact without an origin point. Understanding persists without marking its own arrival.
Awareness continues without resolving when knowing began.
The present feels understood before it is consciously noticed.
Nothing confirms when awareness first followed understanding.
The room feels ready to be understood again.
The room remains familiar, yet one relationship between light and object no longer aligns with expectation. Illumination appears to have settled into an unexpected priority.
Cause and result remain visible, though their connection feels slightly delayed. Orientation appears to have shifted before attention registered the change. Shadow behavior begins suggesting an internal inconsistency.
Light begins favoring a direction that the window does not justify.
Reflections begin referencing positions that feel subtly reassigned.
Distance stops functioning as a reliable indicator of brightness. Surface responses begin duplicating without a clear trigger. Directional certainty weakens, while calm remains unchanged. Light organizes itself into patterns that feel unrequested. Object posture begins implying change without movement.
Depth cues quietly exchange their expected roles.
Expected gradients reverse without urgency.
Correspondence between form and outcome begins loosening. Single inputs begin producing multiple visual outcomes. Spatial logic bends without collapsing. Orientation shifts begin feeling selective rather than shared.
Separation between object and surface begins eroding.
Light starts referencing the object rather than its source.
Distance stops predicting clarity.
Hierarchies of visual attention quietly dissolve. Alignment inconsistencies accumulate without escalation.
Causal direction becomes ambiguous. The room continues functioning while becoming harder to intuit. The room responds as if its reactions are slightly delayed. Visual effects continue after their initiating conditions feel complete. The room appears to contain more than one moment. Conflicting time cues coexist without resolving.
Cause and effect no longer agree on timing.
Expectation arrives before observation can confirm it. Visual information begins repeating instead of refreshing.
The moment feels present without feeling current.
The room begins carrying visual memory alongside perception.
More than one moment occupies the same visual space.
Effects no longer conclude when their causes end.
Recognition begins arriving after perception. Time indicators quietly disagree.
The present begins feeling slightly retrospective.
Object and environment stop feeling simultaneous. Change begins feeling buffered rather than immediate. The scene gives the impression of having already occurred.
Temporal reference points slide without direction.
Visual memory overlaps with current input. The scene feels slightly behind itself.
Completion no longer follows change immediately.
The present stretches without advancing. The room behaves like a memory still forming.
The scene appears to wait for itself. Time no longer occupies a single position within the room. The room presents itself as complete, without indicating whether this moment is beginning or continuing. Visual order returns without drawing attention to itself.
Elements settle into relationships that no longer require interpretation.
Orientation stabilizes without referencing earlier variation.
Balance returns quietly, without clarifying what preceded it.
Light resumes behavior that no longer invites scrutiny. Visual complexity reduces without implying an ending. The environment settles into a readable condition. Orientation holds in a way that resists reinterpretation.
Cause and effect appear reconnected without commentary. Spatial logic reasserts itself without acknowledgement.
Continuity replaces variation without announcement.
The room no longer implies progression.
Nothing within the frame suggests alteration.
The scene feels sufficient without asserting finality.
Stability persists without indicating duration.
The present loses distinction from other moments.
Temporal markers lose relevance when repetition feels exact. Recognition replaces curiosity.
Nothing appears unresolved. The environment offers completion without explanation.
Nothing suggests a next moment.
The scene feels complete in a way that implies recurrence.
Observation no longer produces discovery. The room appears ready to be understood again.